In the 2018 through 19 season, the Phoenix Suns finished off their year with a 19-63 record. After almost a decade of missing the playoffs and getting worse year after year, the future seemed bleak. But now, 2 years later, the team is headed to the conference finals, and very well could win the championship. They conquered the odds, made a fool out of me when I predicted that Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets would beat them in 6, by the way, check out that video after this one, and underwent a complete transformation in just 2 years. How did they do this? Let's talk about the masterful moves and the one key trade that made this all possible. What's up guys, Kogostomus here, and before we start this video, just be sure to subscribe. These videos take a long time to make, and trust me, you are not gonna want to miss out on the videos I have coming soon. I have some big projects in the work that I know you're gonna love. Okay, so our story begins in 2019, when the Phoenix Suns suffered their second worst season in franchise history. Devin Booker was emerging as a future star, but the team had failed to build any semblance of a competent roster around him. Look at the kind of starting lineups this team was rolling out. There were nights when Book was practically playing 1-on-5. The main cause for this all can be tied back to two people, GM Ryan McDonough and team owner Robert Sarver. Together, from the years 2013 to 2018, these two drafted Alex Len 5th overall, Dragan Bender 4th overall, Georgios Papagiannis 13th overall, and Josh Jackson 4th overall. They traded away Isaiah Thomas for Marcus Thornton, Bogdan Bogdanovic for Marquise Chris, and Eric Bledsoe for Greg Monroe. And to top it all off, they even signed a 33-year-old Tyson Chandler to a 4-year, $52 million contract. But near the end of McDonough's tenure as Suns GM, he actually made some pretty good moves that would set the foundation for the Suns' current core. In 2018, he drafted big man DeAndre Ayton 1st overall, and traded Zaire Smith for Mikal Bridges. Both Ayton and Bridges have been key components to Phoenix's potential title run this year. But for McDonough, it was too little too late. After serving as GM for 5 straight years and getting the team nowhere in that time, he finally was fired just a few months after giving Phoenix a good portion of their future star core. Now, they had to find a replacement. The team went with James Jones, who was formerly their vice president of basketball operations. It was a risky move. Jones wasn't the most experienced option out there, but the man proved himself very early on. Halfway through the 2018 through 19 season, Jones traded Trevor Ariza to the Wizards for Kelly Oubre, a move that will be very important later down the line. As for the moment though, James Jones was gonna keep it cool. He wasn't gonna make any blockbuster deals, and found himself forced to just wait out this year with a pretty atrocious roster. As we all know, this year sucked. After a brutal 19-win season, the team fired head coach Igor Kogostomus, and in his place, Jones hired Monty Williams. He also re-signed Kelly Oubre and signed Ricky Rubio to accompany Devin Booker in the backcourt. Finally, he traded away world-renowned NBA bust Jarrett Culver for Cam Johnson and Dario Saric, a move that, in hindsight, has worked out very well. The team let their young core develop in year number 2 under their new GM, and everybody improved. Now in his second year, DeAndre Ayton put up 18 and 12. Mikal Bridges was turning into an elite defender, and Kelly Oubre surprised many when he became the franchise's second leading scorer for the season, only trailing Devin Booker, who of course was great as always. The Suns were initially widely criticized for trading for Cam Johnson, but he proved many people wrong as he blossomed into a 6'8" sharpshooter for the team off the bench. With the group of guys that they now had, the team found themselves in playoff contention, but they were struggling to keep up with the best teams in the insanely loaded Western Conference. With 8 games left in the year, James Jones took a shot at former lottery pick point guard Cameron Payne, a man who had completely blown his NBA career prior to arriving in Phoenix. This dude was off of everybody's radar by the time the Suns got their hands on him, but the team picked him up for the bubble regardless, and he surprised everyone, putting up an impressive 11 points and 3 assists per game off the bench to help the Suns go on an incredible 8-game winning streak to finish the season. After winning 34 games in 2020, 15 better than the year prior, the Suns were looking to be on the right track. But everybody knew that this wasn't going to be enough, especially in the West. Booker and Ayton alone were nice, but they just needed something more to take that next step.
Chris Paul is headed to the Phoenix Suns. He'll go in a multi-player deal from Oklahoma City.
Boom. There it is. Now this team is legit. They said goodbye to Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, and a 2022 first in return for the great Abdel Nader. Also, there's this other throw-in guy that OKC added. I think his name is Chris Poole? However you say it, he ended up being pretty damn good for this team. And now with a big 3 of their own, the free agents just kept on rolling in. They got their hands on Jay Crowder, Langston Galloway, and Etuan Moore, while also re-signing the likes of Cameron Payne, Javon Carter, and Dario Saric to form one of the most deep, complete rosters in the NBA. Sometimes when I watch the Suns, even I forget that Chris Paul got there from a trade. It seems like Phoenix lost nothing for this guy in hindsight. The pieces they gave up I don't think have ever been missed or even thought about by Suns fans ever since CP first hit the court for their team. With that being said though, on the other end of the spectrum, it is hard to call OKC a big time loser for this trade. They were and still are purposely tanking, but in doing so, they might have accidentally created the best team in the West. Halfway through the year, James Jones traded some cash away to the Bucks for Torrey Craig, and with that, the roster is finally complete. They tore through the league and clinched the 2nd seed in the West, only behind the Utah Jazz. Now in the playoffs, Phoenix has made it to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2010. They faced the reigning champion Lakers in round 1 and shockingly beat them in 6. Sure, Anthony Davis was injured, but Chris Paul also suffered a shoulder contusion in Game 5 that clearly messed him up for the rest of the series. Nevertheless, the Suns persisted, sweeping the Denver Nuggets and Mr. MVP himself, Nikola Jokic. Now, yes, some of this has to do with Jamal Murray being out, and with that unfathomably stupid ejection on the Joker in Game 4. And yes, I will admit that the Suns have experienced a lot of luck in these playoffs, but at the end of the day, they still beat the champion Lakers and the team with the MVP. They didn't have it easy, and it won't get any easier. With that in mind, how far do you think Phoenix will make it this season? What's the most important change they made in the past few years? Was it trading for Chris Paul, hiring James Jones, or getting Coach Monty Williams? Let me know in the comments down below. But whichever one you choose, either way, I think that the rebuild this team underwent is the quickest of such I've ever seen. Big big shout out to the Suns. Y'all really turned things around, and especially shout out to the Suns fans who have showed a different level of energy in your home games. I mean, really, every single crowd is out there cheering their butts off, but there's something special about the fans out there in Phoenix. You know, after years of cheering on for Alex Len, when you finally do get something good, and you're no longer being tortured as an NBA fan, that gotta be pretty exciting. As a Knicks fan, I'm still waiting for the torture to end, but it looks like we're getting there. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. I am posting NBA playoffs content every 3 days, and I got some big new projects in the works that, trust me, y'all are not gonna want to miss out on. And with that, stay safe out there.